Imagine a mountaintop so high the clouds wrap around it like smoke. A place built on a cliff edge where storms smash against the walls. A building constructed not for living, but for power, intimidation, and myth. And for decades, people have wondered, why was this place really built, and what secrets still lie beneath it? This is the Eagle's Nest, a structure perched more than 6,000 feet above Bavaria. It survived the war. It survived Allied bombings. It survived attempts to wipe it from history. But one question has never fully been answered. Was it truly a ceremonial gift, or was it meant for something far more mysterious? Today we're digging into the real story behind the Eagle's Nest, the engineering that shouldn't have been possible, all the myths that won't die, and the secrets this mountaintop still refuses to give up. Hitler's Eagle's Nest is officially called the Kehlstein House. On the surface, it looks like a stone lodge, a mountain retreat with a panoramic view. But the story behind it starts long before construction, with a political elite obsessed with symbolism. They believed high places held power. Mountains represented purity, dominance, and permanence. And Hitler himself was deeply fascinated by alpine landscapes. Berchtesgaden wasn't just scenery to him. It became a stage for propaganda. But here's where the mystery begins. Hitler spent very little time at the Eagle's Nest. In fact, accounts suggest he was uncomfortable with the altitude, the winding access road, and even the exposed location. So if he barely used it, why did the Nazi leadership pour insane amounts of money, labor, and engineering into building it? This question has fueled speculation for years. Some believe it was never truly meant for him at all, but for the people around him, a place to host powerful foreign guests, intimidate allies, and impress insiders. Others believe it was designed as an emergency stronghold, a symbolic fortress above the world. And some think the purpose was psychological, a mountaintop throne to project invincibility. To answer that, we have to understand what it took to build the Eagle's Nest. And the more you learn, the stranger it gets. The Kehlstein mountain is steep, dangerously steep. Engineers in the late 1930s had to carve a road into almost vertical rock faces. The road is 6.5 kilometers long, includes 5 tunnels, and rises over 700 meters in altitude. Workers blasted through solid stone using dynamite in places where a single miscalculation would send them falling thousands of feet. Over 3,000 laborers were involved. Winter storms, constant fog, freezing temperatures, and landslides killed several workers, though the exact number was never documented accurately. Here's the mystery. The road was designed to be too narrow for regular military transport. Tanks couldn't use it. Reinforcements couldn't move up it quickly. It was never defensible. So if it wasn't built for strategy or safety, then what was the point? The final stretch to the summit is even stranger. Deep inside the mountain, the regime ordered construction of a golden brass elevator shaft, drilled vertically down through the rock. This wasn't a practical elevator. This was theater. Fully mirrored, polished, and designed to impress foreign VIPs, it was meant to feel like descending into another world before rising into the clouds. But here's something many people don't know. Beneath this elevator system, deeper inside the mountain, there are sealed concrete chambers that were never mapped publicly. Documents from the construction period reference storage areas, but no one has confirmed what was in them. Some historians think they were simply supply depots or fuel rooms. Others believe they were intended to hide sensitive materials, perhaps even valuables evacuated from Berlin. The truth remains unclear. And this leads to one of the biggest myths surrounding the Eagle's Nest, whether a secret bunker existed under the peak. For decades after the war, rumors spread that tunnels beneath the structure connected to larger underground facilities buried deep inside the Alps. Treasure hunters spent years searching for sealed shafts, believing stolen art or documents were hidden in the mountain. While no major finds have surfaced, the absence of evidence has kept the speculation alive. When the Eagle's Nest finally opened in 1938, it was a political showpiece, not a functional headquarters. The interior was surprisingly small, a handful of rooms, a fireplace, and a series of viewing terraces. But its location made it powerful. Standing there, you could see endless mountains fade into the horizon. And that was the point. to create a place so dramatic, so unreachable, that being invited felt like entering a different realm. But remember what we said earlier. Hitler barely set foot there. According to records, he visited fewer than a dozen times. Some accounts say he couldn't stay long because of altitude sickness. Others say he feared being seen as hiding in a fortress far above ordinary people. Most historians now believe the Eagle's Nest was more important as a symbol of the regime than as a place he personally enjoyed. When the war turned against Germany, the mountain complex below, the Obersalzberg, became a major target for Allied bombing. Yet the Eagle's Nest survived almost untouched. Some believe the Allies intentionally avoided bombing it, choosing instead to hit command bunkers and infrastructure lower on the mountain. Others think the location was simply too difficult to strike accurately. But this is where another theory emerges. Was the Eagle's Nest left standing intentionally as a future observation post or diplomatic asset? There's no definitive answer, but the survival of the building continues to raise eyebrows. After the war ended, American forces took control of the region. In photographs from 1945, soldiers can be seen relaxing on the terraces, taking in the same panoramic view that once impressed Nazi officials. The building was eventually handed over to the Bavarian government, and interestingly, there was debate on whether to destroy it. Some wanted to erase the past completely. Others argued that the structure itself had no strategic value anymore, and demolishing it wouldn't erase history. It would simply remove a reminder of it. Ultimately, it remained, and that led to a new layer of controversy. The Eagle's Nest became a place visitors wanted to see, partly for the view, partly for the history, and partly out of morbid curiosity. Guides today emphasize that it's a memorial site, not a celebration. The area is carefully managed to avoid becoming a place of glorification, but the tension around its existence still lingers. And yet, tourists aren't the only ones interested in the Eagle's Nest. For years, researchers have studied aerial photographs, old blueprints, and wartime documents hunting for evidence that the mountain hides more than we know. Some suspect there were secondary tunnels sealed by the US military during denazification. Others think important records from the last days of the regime might have been moved there briefly before vanishing. While no major discovery has surfaced, the lack of closure keeps the mystery alive. Then there's the psychological side of this place. Mountains have always symbolized authority and isolation, two ideas the regime was obsessed with. The Eagle's Nest wasn't built for strategy, comfort, or practicality. It was built to make people feel small, to project power through nature itself. Standing on that peak, surrounded by cliffs and clouds, you feel distant from the rest of the world. And that emotional impact might have been the building's true purpose. A throne of stone and sky meant to intimidate without saying a word. Today, the Eagle's Nest is a restaurant and viewing point. Families eat lunch where diplomats once held tense conversations. Hikers follow trails once patrolled by SS guards. And while the building's dark past is always acknowledged, the mountain has slowly been reclaimed by nature and by everyday life. Snow covers the stone walls, grass grows between the steps, the sky no longer carries the weight it once did. But the unanswered questions remain. Why build such an expensive, dangerous project that Hitler barely used? Why drill hidden chambers inside the mountain? Why did some documents from the construction phase disappear? And why did the building survive while the rest of the Obersalzberg was almost entirely wiped out? Maybe the truth is simple. The Eagle's Nest was a monument to ego, elevation, and spectacle, a place built to be seen more than lived in. Or maybe there are still pieces of its story buried under stone, sealed behind concrete, or lost in archives yet to be uncovered. Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. No building in the Alps carries a shadow quite like this one. And the Eagle's Nest remains one of the most puzzling relics of a regime that tried to shape the world and ended up leaving mysteries even it couldn't explain. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden history and unanswered questions behind one of Europe's most mysterious locations, make sure to subscribe to Saunton for more investigations into the strange, the forgotten, and the unexplained. And below with the next place or mystery you want us to explore. Thanks for watching. This is Saunton, signing off.